Recording.
Got
Ooh,
it. Whoa.
that sounded so official,
Did.
didn't it? All right. Well, what do you have on your head? Is that a Mario mushroom? It looks like a
It
mushroom.
is. It is. It was part of Toddstock. It was part of a special performance that kind of blew everybody away. It was pretty funny. Yeah, Todd and I were brought up to the edge of the tent. So there was kind of a big space of lawn in between the massive tent and the massive stage. And sometimes the performances took place on the lawn. So we were seated with these and given these for a very special performance.
Oh, well, that's wonderful.
Have you talked to anybody that was at Toddstock?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. In fact, my original plan was to record some stuff and maybe post something the week of the event. But you know what? This is a compliment to you in that people were having such a good time that we chatted, and it felt like so personal that I didn't want it to turn it into some kind of piece for a podcast or whatever. So I just wanted people to enjoy themselves. But yeah, Jim Snyder called me, my friend Susie, of course, Don Slovin talked to me. So yeah, I had a few people reach out to me both during and after Toddstock, and you know what, they had universal praise for you. And I think it was one of those situations where we kind of discussed before when we were doing these initial episodes that there was a real respect and appreciation for how much work went into this one because there was a lot to put into it. So
yeah,
here's to you. Here's my round of applause to you. And I did get my friend Susie sent me a picture of you hugging my picture, which was really nice.
Oh yeah,
you and Todd. So that was very sweet.
No, I am glad everybody had a really good time. And also, once everybody got there, they just pitched in like crazy to help in every aspect. And then I even got teary on the day after Toddstock was over, a platoon of cars. I don't know how many people are in a platoon, but there must have been over 50 people that showed up to help us tear down. And it was pretty amazing. It was almost like that Coke commercial, where you start seeing a few people coming up there. I like to teach the world to sing. And then they just kept coming and coming. And it was a pretty cool teardown.
Well, I've done an event with a few hundred people, but it was just a one-day thing. And I have a sense of what goes into it. I don't want to pretend that I have done anything to the level that you have, but I know the kind of the satisfaction and the exhaustion that comes with it. In fact, before I got really fat, I was a marathon runner. I did 2 marathons, and I just remember, that while you're in it, it has these wonderful moments and then these moments where you question yourself. But when you get to the end, it's like, oh, I feel good. Is that how you felt when this was all over? Was there a sense of accomplishment? Like, man, we pulled this off?
No, I knew as it was going because everybody's faces, everyone was so happy that, Todd and I were very aware that while it was happening, that this was worth all the, the exhaustion and time and effort. And that everyone jumped in to help in every aspect. It was a really cool thing. And at the end, I'm glad Todd left. And he expected me to go to Barcelona with him the next day. And I was like, I can't go. I have to tear this thing down. And we're still putting stuff away. We're still doing it, but it's 90% done. And I was very, very happy that everybody got to have such a good time together.
When was that moment that you were sitting in it and just going, oh yeah, this is going to work? I mean, day 1, day 2, where was it at where you just really felt like, man, this is working?
I was so tired the whole time that I don't think I ever realized. I just know that Todd was so happy just the first night. First night, he was, yeah, this is good. Yeah, this is good. And, and we had lots of trials and tribulations. There were a group of guys that came out when it was discovered that the tent we were putting up the day before didn't have the correct parts shipped to us. And the whole thing could have just gone horribly wrong. But there were probably 15, 20 men that showed up that worked for like 12 hours a day for 2 days in a row to get that tent up and rigged the way it should be. And man, I should have taken names. I mean, everybody knows who they are. They worked so hard to help. And, you know, they probably had activities to do, and, you know, they skipped meals to get it all done until dark. It was phenomenal. And watching those guys work so hard to make Toddstock happen, just, I could cry now.
Well, I don't, you know, I'm trying to figure a diplomatic way of posing this question. So maybe I'll just pose it non-diplomatically. I mean, Todd seems like he could be a very hard guy to please at times. So the fact that he was, I mean, there, you know, I saw the video, especially at the end, you could really tell that he was in a comfort zone and just basically said, "Hey man, you guys didn't trash the place. We got to do this again." So there must have been some satisfaction and some validation in that, you know, Todd said, "Hey, Michele, good job." Did he say just, "Hey, Michele, good job" yet?
No. But I know he's super happy. I
Right.
know, you know, I could just tell just when he was on stage and off stage, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I was getting at. I mean, I mean, there are people that, you know, they don't always outwardly say, "Oh, you know, thank you," and all that kind of stuff. But you get that sense of that they're at a place where they're just really content and they really appreciate what has been done. And that
Right.
last speech, which I only saw a video of, I was looking and going, "Man, this is a guy who really he really loved this event. He really did."
He did. Yeah, he really did. But I'm not doing it again.
Uh, you say that today. Well, there is, what is it? Is it Kathy Lee Brandstetter that's talking about doing one in 2 years, and she's been posting some stuff. But I mean, 2 years is a ways away. But what kind of conversation did you have as far as that, or are you just gonna kick that can down the road?
Well, I know that Todd wouldn't commit right away. He was just like, "No way, it just ended. I can't even think about
Right.
another one." And same goes for me, knowing how much work it took. It's going to take more than just one person to head something up. So I guess we'll just wait a little bit longer until he gets home and talk about it and see. And it's also hard to figure out what's going to happen 2 years from now with his schedule. I mean,
Yeah,
we still have to go
you're
make
right
a
though.
living.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, this again, I guess there's a reason you do these every 5 years and not every year, right?
Yeah. But I think as soon as we know what his schedule is going to be, then it could be a possibility of doing something. But definitely it should be somewhere that's like we have had places where we went, so like Navarro, for instance, where the place, you know, took care of all the meals. The meals was a pretty big thing. And you know, it's hard to feed 500 people.
Well,
twice a
you got great reviews. That was the first thing I asked, because as a heavier set guy, I'm like, "How's the food?" So they all told me it was great.
Yeah, we donated like over 1,000 pounds of food at the end to the food bank. They were super happy.
Oh,
But
that's
that's
nice.
just, you know, my chef Ted wanted to make sure that everybody had enough, even though, yeah, sometimes people are like, "Whoa, it's Todd Stalkers, you know, serving us, and they're not putting enough on my plate." So go get seconds.
So
Anyway,
in terms of it sounds like in terms of the fans and everybody that was there, they definitely respected everybody's space. I know there was a lot of people that were very emotional in having an opportunity to tour the house, and that was one of just the real. I mean, obviously the Todd concert and the Intoxicats concerts were real highlights, as were the fan bands, which all they did a great job as well from what I've seen. But
man,
so many
yes.
people were just like, "Man, that house tour." They're like posting stuff like, "I can't believe I'm standing in their house. This is so amazing." So that must
Okay,
have been pretty special.
now, you guys can't repeat this to Todd, but I'll tell a little story out of school. So when Todd came to me and said, "I want to do Toddstock, and you know, I want them to come over here to the house. You know, we'll do like an open house so they can see the difference between when they were here before." And so he's upstairs in his room rehearsing with the band. So once we start having people come through the house, and Todd's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" He motions me up. He goes, "What are you doing? You're taking them through the house." And I said, "What do you think an open house is?" They're going through it. They're going through it. Yes. Go to work. Go back to work. Yes. So he did not know that was going to happen, but he's the one who said, an open house. So that's what an open house is, dude. He was fine afterwards, but it just was a shock to him because it didn't dawn on him that open house meant you go look at the house.
It's a leap of faith, isn't it? I mean, you got to admit, having people come through your house, there's always those worries, but yeah, everybody, the post that I saw on that was where I think the most people would wait to use this word verklempt, they're like, "Oh my God, here I am." It's pretty amazing.
Well, it is pretty, I think I wanted, and he did too, wanted everybody to see, especially walking up to the house and having the doors open and, seeing that as it looks small in my little picture, but just to see what we see every day, it's hard. It's so hard to be sad or unhappy about anything when you live here. It's just too beautiful to let yourself get too far down.
Yeah, and there's those iconic stones where there's the promo picture of Todd holding the guitar over his shoulder. A lot of people took pictures there, so that was really nice too.
Yeah, we only had 5 people fall in the stream and one set of keys and one person fall in the pond. But
yeah. and you did a live from Daryl's house from there too. So it's you did all those pandemic shows from the house as well. So it's kind of a place where people are to some degree familiar with, but I can only imagine. I drove down Mink Hollow Road and the house was already demolished at that point. And I still was like, here I am on Mink Hollow Road. So I imagine that experience of going through your house must have been really amazing for the fans.
Yeah, they only got to see half of it because this half is, guest rooms and Todd's studio, and they were working. So plus his studio wasn't clean. So at some point, probably before he comes home, I'll go clean his studio and ask him if it's okay to do a little shot of it for everybody. It's pretty cool. His blue acrylic floor is the cool thing, like a sparkly blue bowling ball.
So what was the highlight for you? Like if you look back and if you had to pick it, I assume there's more than one moment, maybe there's 2 or 3, but what were the ones where you just really felt that you were just in it and really felt just beautiful about the moment?
I think there wasn't a moment. It was more the overall fan band participation. That blew us both away. Just the constant surprises of how hard they worked and how great they were. Yeah, it was just the fan bands blew us away.
Yeah, I saw one, either a picture or video where they had a glass guitar made out of ice.
And Todd, I don't think Todd told Gene, but he goes, "Why didn't Gene throw it on the stage?" And I said, "Because there's equipment and wires and stuff."
So I guess then the question, what was the biggest surprise? What was the one thing that maybe the fan bands did, or a song or anything like that, where you went, "Wow, that's really cool"?
My brain is still so tired. It's too hard for me to remember the song, but when the Shallbetter brothers were singing and directing the choir, to have a whole group like that work that hard was just, that was pretty special. And then when Secret Society came out, I was actually busy. I wasn't at the stage. So I was driving up after picking something up, and I thought, wow, they got Todd to sing. And it wasn't Todd.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Yeah. He and the videos that I saw, it's got to be an interesting experience to watch somebody else perform your material. I know that I think Secret Society did a show in California. Maybe it was your birthday or somebody's birthday, where they were performing a bunch of songs, and Todd showed up to that event and you did as well. And he seemed to really sit back and enjoy it. So that must be, Must be pretty cool.
He did enjoy it. He really enjoyed he enjoyed watching everybody have fun. So besides the music.
So how about your Intoxicats set? Obviously you got to be up there with them and everything like that. I mean,
I
that must
felt
have
so,
just been a
they,
blast.
they were great. Unfortunately, I didn't get to go to the sound checks or the rehearsals. So I was just kind of running up there blind, and they were so patient. And but yeah, it felt really good. I love being in that band. It's so amazing.
So while we're talking Intoxicats, is what are your plans with them? Do you have anything on the books for an Intoxicat show?
We're playing the state fair at the end of August. And I guess the state fair in Minneapolis is the biggest one in the US. I think. I'll have to look, but I mean, it's pretty damn huge. Plus there's some great food there that I've never seen before in my life. Like, like waffle on a stick and stuff. It's just some weird stuff. I will take video and send it to you.
All right. Well, New York is and what is New York State Fair is known. They always have a butter sculpture.
Oh
They just
yeah,
have this
right.
giant sculpture made out of butter. I don't think we ever get to eat the butter, but it's always something kind of interesting and weird. But and you talked about like the fan bands and all that kind of stuff. And at the end, I mean, I don't know how much you know, or if this is something that Todd's going to explore further, but I mean, it looks like Patronet is coming out of the ashes, and it sounds like Todd is really in this. I mean, he's really in the Patronet thing to win it, you know?
He is. Yep, he is. He's full on. Even he landed in Barcelona, and my very next morning, he said, "Can you go wake up my computer?" Because he's got gear upstairs that he can access from wherever he is in the world. But he was ready to get back to coding and fixing code and all that stuff while he was on vacation. So I always have to have my phone with me to see if he's texting. "Can you go wake up my computer?"
Are you going to any of the shows, any of the Daryl shows, other than I mean, I know you're not going to London, it sounds like. I think he's got a few more left over the summer, right?
He does have a few left over the summer. Probably not. It's the busy time on Kauai, so I'm still spearheading Tiki and Niki, and it's especially hard since the employment is really, really difficult here. So we had a big fancy hotel set up in Princeville. They took over the Princeville Hotel, remodeled it for a couple of years, and they're taking everyone's employees. So almost every business on the North Shore is at risk of going under. So so I have to stay here and help wash the dishes and wash the dishes and bring the food.
Yeah, well, I know a lot of people had a chance to get into Tiki and Niki, but your staff must have either been happy because there were so many people there, or maybe a little bit overwhelmed during the event.
Yeah, they were overwhelmed. It was a little different than they were used to, but I wanted to make sure everybody could go that wanted to go. So yeah, I cleared the decks for Todd peoples.
Yeah, and again, I mean, that was another kind of a highlight that people had told me about, that they were having the chance to be there and everything. So that's gotta feel really cool for you, because that's your baby.
Yeah. Yeah, it did. Especially since, so many, I mean, I couldn't have opened that without the help of the fans. The fans helped put it together by investing and funding different things. And so I wanted them to see, what it was like in there. It's super small, but it's tricked out and doing well.
Excellent. And I do want to mention, before we talk about the Todd show, it one of the fan bands, they did do an homage to the Tubes, right? So they played,
Yeah.
I think somebody played She's a Beauty, and then you were able to get up on stage and do Feel It, which was, eventually found its way on Nearly Human, but originally was a Tube song. So there were some parts of that, that you were able to be integrated in, maybe special moments for you, especially with your connection with the Tubes. And then Prairie was there as well.
Yeah, that was, some of the most fun. I'd say touring with the Tubes and singing backup for Todd are the highlights of my life. Sorry, kids. Oh, and the baseball games and yeah.
I don't, and all this time, I don't think I've ever asked you how you wound up with the Tubes. Because you would have, did you take over Restyle's spot, or
No,
was it just
no.
a
Ree
different
was
situation?
out of the band by then. It was a very odd thing that I wanted to be on Broadway, so I moved to New York City and started auditioning. I got an audition with Kenny Ortega for a show called Marilyn American Fable. And Kenny called me in to say he had a better job for me than the Broadway show I wanted to get into. And I said, no, I worked my whole life to get on Broadway. And at the time, Ben Vereen was my mentor. And I went to Ben, I said, he's letting me make my decision, but he wants me to join this rock band. I don't even like rock music. And Ben said, look, when a director sees something in you, you can't see it, but they see it. So you should trust his judgment and take that gig. So I took the Tubes gig, was flown to LA, immediately in the studio with David Foster and not Tower Power, Earth, Wind and Fire was, playing and singing with us, and then getting on a plane and going and starting a European tour where everybody was just screaming and yelling and asking me to sign their boob. It was great. The odd thing is that one of the girls in the Tubes, Cindy Rhodes, had just gotten the gig for Flashdance, so that's why she was leaving. And one of the other girls in the Tubes went to college with me. We were in the same dance troupe and kind of each other's competition. So she could have said, no, I don't want her in it, but she said yes. And we were kind of the same height, Cheryl Hangland and I. And she went on to marry one of the Romantics, Mike Skill.
Oh, wow. Yeah, the Tubes were such a great band. I mean, especially live. And I think the tours you were on, you must have gotten there around Outside Inside, or was it the Completion Backwards tour?
I got hired to do part of the Completion Backwards principle, but it was Outside Inside next.
Yeah. You must have been around. I don't know if I've told you the story before, but I met all the Tubes guys and everything. It was right around the time that you and Todd became romantically involved. It was near Buffalo, New York. You played a show at Darien Lake, and there was a rainstorm and everything. And Fee always remembers it. But it was also the night that the band found out that they had lost their contract with, I think they were on Capitol at the time.
Yep.
It's, I don't know. I've always been so disappointed in the fact that Love Bomb is one of those records that's not nearly as appreciated as it should have been. And even the Tubes, I mean, if you think about it, they had these two huge albums with Foster, and their trajectory seemed to be going well, but it just never quite caught. I mean, I know that the band is still active and everything, but it just feels like feels like that they should have done a little bit better than they did, and through no fault of their own.
Well, yeah, yes, I'll say yes. I'm glad the band's back together, because it was split up for a little while when, Foster thought Fee should be solo. So it was a sad time for all of us who were going like, oh my God, no, don't break up the band. But I'm so glad they all got back together. I would kill people to just get back up on stage with those guys. I was just kidding. Sort of.
Yeah. What did you do that reunion show before Vince passed? Because I think there was one show where everybody got back together, and maybe even Michael and Vince were there. I can't remember. So it's got to be at least over a decade now, because I know Vince left us quite a while ago.
Yeah, I think so. I'd have to ask Cheryl. Were we there? Yes, I think so. Was it in Santa Cruz? I can't remember, but my life's been so chock full, I can't remember everything.
Yeah, well, I mean, that song, Feel It, I mean, it's just such a beautiful song. And I can only imagine, I know, you did it on the Clearly Human tour, and of course you were on the Second Wind and the Nearly Human tours and all that stuff. But that's gotta, I don't know, that song always gives me the tingles every time I hear it. It's just so beautiful.
It is. Yeah. I close my eyes most of the time singing that one. It probably sounded weird at Toddstock because I was singing the high part, and I don't think, and Kaz was singing a third below me, I think. So there was missing one part in there, but oh well. So it might have sounded goofy just singing the high part.
So did you know what or have an idea what the set list was going to be as far as when Todd was
No.
doing his show?
Nope, I didn't. I don't know if the guys, I know the guys rehearsed some things. I remember he asked me to send the guys out an email of some of the things they'd be playing, but not the whole set. Not the whole set list. I think he just wanted to get up there in the studio and just figure out what they felt like playing.
Yeah, I mean, from what I could tell, I mean, the two cuts from Space Force were ones that had never been performed live
Right.
before, so that was pretty cool. And I don't know, you could play Worldwide Epiphany for me 1,000 times live. I mean, if
Oh
you,
no, I know. I just wanted to like, do the moves too. For the,
Yeah.
I think I was out there in the rain kind of doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, so it did get a little rainy on you though, but I think somebody had told me before, it might have even, I don't know if it was Don or somebody else had said to me that it rains fairly often in Hawaii, but it kind of stops after a while. So I guess there's an expectation there's going to be a little bit of dampness, so it doesn't seem like it really ruined the party at all.
No, in fact, at one point, everything under the tent was kind of the water was coming up through the ground, and it was just going to look like some bad war movie in the mud. But my sister-in-law Claudia was brilliant. She ran over to the cardboard pile and just started piling 100 yards of cardboard over all the muddy spots so that we could just walk on cardboard and not have to go slushing through it. And so now it's all green again. It's up there. It took 3 days, and then it's all green.
And I mean, how late did you sleep the first time you could sleep in?
Oh my gosh, I guess that was only 3 days ago, because I had to go over there real early and start tearing other things down. Like in the kitchen had to be cleaned. That was a big one. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It was fun. It was successful. Everyone had a good time. I had a good time.
You had a good time. I had a good time. I wasn't even there when I had a good time. It was a great time for everybody.
I'll sleep when I'm dead.
Well, as always, this has been great. So I mean, hopefully it said, we never really know what's in the future, but obviously there's going to be events and things like that. And I know you've talked to me about the fact that you've created this event thing. Todd's got Patronet working. So it sounds like for the rest of the year, things can be pretty exciting. I mean, we're out of a pandemic and we've been able to get together without everybody getting sick or any of that kind of good stuff. So, so the gray skies have cleared up in a way, have they not?
Yeah, they have. I've freaked out that everybody's trying to pass joints to Todd, but everybody's still fine, I think. So. No.
Yeah, no, it's funny because I mean, I'm the same way when it comes to certain things. Although I have a 5-year-old granddaughter, so I'm sort of used to sharing cups and snot and all that kind of good stuff at this point. But so what? I mean, what is mentally? What's next? What's on board? Where are you thinking ahead in terms of your event business? I know you talked about the dog event and those kinds of things, but where's your mind at?
The next one is the end of August on our property, the KSPCA benefit. And so in already kind of full meeting swing on those. And then I think the next much bigger thing, I'd like to plan a bit before whatever the big rock thing for Kauai is. I can't remember. Oh man. I would like to plan a very, very big 2 or 3 day concert event at Vedina Stadium, which is where the airport is. It's our like high school football field kind of thing, with bleachers on both sides. It's pretty big. It's the biggest venue we have on the island for low income housing, because it's gotten impossible for people to have affordable housing here. We just don't have enough of it. So I'm going to reach out to Carlos Santana and a bunch of other rock people that live here part-time. Santana lives here full-time, but Todd, maybe Timothy B. Schmidt from the Eagles, some more of the Eagles. I'll just try to come up with maybe I'll ask Jake Shimabukura. He signed an ukulele for Todd that David Schofield and Hajin and Lauren gave to Todd for his birthday. So I'm just going to try to see what I can do to help the island. It just seems like the right thing to do since we have, it's so beautiful, and it'd be great to know that other people have a roof over their heads. So many don't here.
Yeah, I mean, even since day one, since you and I started doing these podcasts, I mean, it's you have a relationship with the place that you live that's really beautiful. It's very infectious. I feel the same way about my house. I back up to a cornfield, and some mornings I just look out to it, especially when you get to see it grow throughout the course of the year. And we have very drastic seasons here. But yeah, I mean, when you feel good, it's like you try to figure out a way to share that with other people. And I mean, I would even think in terms of trying to run a restaurant, it's like, you can't afford a mansion if you're working in a restaurant, but man, it would be nice to be able to find a restaurant to work at and a decent place to live on an island like Kauai. So it helps a lot of people. I agree with you. I think that's a wonderful cause.
Yeah, I think I told you before, 4 of my employees live on the beach in their car.
Yeah.
And they can afford a place, but there aren't any places.
Yeah, which just, I mean, at this point just makes no sense. It's not like
my guns. I'm going for affordable housing.
and then you got like New York City, where people live in a place the size of their bed just to stay in New York City.
Wild.
It's absolutely crazy. Well, listen, it's July 4th. We got our half hour in, so I want to thank you for this. This has been a great run. Hopefully we'll continue it. I'd like to, I mean, with your permission, I'd like to reach out to some of the people that attended.
Absolutely, you should. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe, talk to people like Bruce McDaniel or Chasm if they want about their experience as well. And we'll just keep the Toddstock vibe going. It sounds like, this is a bit of a sub community that was created out of this second one as well. And I think that was similar to what happened with Toddstock 1. There's always been that kind of core group of people that have, that went. And you know what? I say this in all sincerity. These aren't cliquey people that exclude us. They are people that just happen to be at the event, but they certainly like to share their experiences with other people and include people. So that community doesn't even necessarily have to be people that went. I mean, my face went, thanks to my friend Susie, but
that was pretty funny. You were there.
Yeah. She's, oh man, I love her so much. She made the phone call that I wish you could have heard the phone call. I've recorded it. I'll have to share the recording with you at some point. And maybe I'll put it into another episode that I put together, but just her happiness was like, but it's like you said. So, if you can create some happiness for people to have affordable housing on Kauai, those are the things that make you happy. You're able to share your experiences. And that's how Susie was. She just wanted to share her happiness with me and with anybody that wanted to share it. And I took it. And my final story, I forgot to tell you, I ordered a couple of Todd vinyls. I'm a vinyl record collector from Cleopatra, and they weren't supposed to show up till August. It was the Ultrasonic Studios and then the Individualist a True Star colored vinyl. And they showed up on Todd's birthday. So that was, and your anniversary, of course.
Oh, that's funny.
So yes. So I got a present that day.
That's good. That's good. I should, before we go too, I should say that she probably is going to say, don't say my name. But I just got to say the person behind the wall there, behind everything info at Toddstock 75 was Debbie Summer. And I could not have pulled this off without Debbie. She just was such a good organizer and always had like 10 questions that I needed to answer, every hour of how to put this together and how it should go. And then she implemented it for us. And so, boy, I just got to bow down to Debbie.
Well, if Debbie ever wants to chat with me about Toddstock, I'd love to have her on. We can discuss it. It sounds like she's a great resource to have, and probably be involved in some other stuff for you too.
Oh, and really quick too, I forgot to tell you that we had I think I did tell you a few episodes ago that we had our film crew here for the documentary film crew. And they were so impressed with, Todd fans, they call them, but they were just like, oh my God, this group of people is unlike anybody else. Everybody's happy and giving, and just blew them away. And so they got a chance to talk to about 20 fans and their stories about their interactions or how they got into Todd, or lots of different subjects, but they loved it.
Well, good. Yeah. Well, we got that to look forward to as well. So, all right. Well, I'll let you go enjoy the rest of your 4th. And well, you're actually starting for you.
Oh, yeah, it's just starting. But yeah, and you got to go. Oh, okay. Yeah, I got to go and make sure that I got the house all set to put the dogs upstairs with me, and the big booms go off.
Yeah, I got my little buddy Chasm, who's been our frequent guest. He sat here very quietly, but the last couple of nights we've had a lot of fireworks in the area, so he's a little stressed out.
Yeah,
and it's that's one of the things I guess people don't think about. New York State, it's where we just legalized fireworks here, I think 3 years ago. So the first couple of years, it was tough because all the yahoos were setting them off in the streets like all the time. So it's gotten a little bit better this year, but yeah, I mean, the dogs, they just, I don't know what it is, but it bums me out when they get real stressed about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So everybody take care of your puppies.
Take care of your puppies. So, all right. Well, sounds good.
Thanks, Thom.
Thank you, Michele.